One of the biggest powers the Boston City Council has is periodically redrawing the map that breaks the city down into districts, which those same city councilors then go on to represent. But this time around, the process has been unusually complicated and politically fraught. Last week, a federal judge tossed out the map the council created last year. That ruling was cheered by a group of councilors who opposed the new map in question, some of whom actually helped pay for the litigation that led to its dismissal. For the record, all those councilors are white and Irish American. Now it is back to the drawing board for the council as a whole, and they've got company. This week, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu said she plans to present a map of her own for the council to consider. So why has this entire process been so difficult? And what bigger lessons might it offer about fault lines in Boston politics right now? I'm joined by GBH News' City Hall correspondent, Saraya Wintersmith, who has been paying close attention to this for months. Saraya, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
So why did a federal judge toss out the redistricting map that the council created last year?
The judge sided with opponents in this case who said that race was too heavily used in the map-making process in violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Redistricting, it happens every 10 years, like you said, when we take stock of the city's population. And so the process is sort of inherently aware of racial demographics. But legally, when we start to explicitly think about race, there's a whole bunch of criteria and nuance that you have to think about race with. So in this case, the judge said that the council did not demonstrate the necessary compelling interest or very good reason for using race very heavily, nor did it demonstrate the required narrowly tailored solution for said good reason. And so to win, the opponents brought snippets of councilors talking in city council meetings about them thinking that it was their job to racially balance the city map. And the thing that ultimately did the map in, or the things, were their attempt to address an overpopulation in the Southie district, and then an attempt to, again, racially balance the map, making some moves in two neighboring Dorchester districts.
And tell me if I got this right. They were going to move some very white, very high turnout, politically potent communities out of Frank Baker's district into Brian Worrell's district.
A majority black district, that's right.
Thank you. Okay. And there's all sorts of other complex considerations, too, that they're supposed to take into account, right? The coherence of neighborhoods or communities, whether a shape looks the right way of a district, right? You don't want the gerrymander or crazy shape.
Compact, contiguous, communities of interest.
Okay, so now they've got to move really quickly, right? Because these are the districts they're going to be running to represent in this year's election.
That's right.
How fast do they have to go?
If you are a person that's looking to challenge a sitting city councilor, or you want to run for an open seat, you need to ensure that you are within the boundaries of the district where you want to run. You need to know who your constituents are going to be and what their issues are. Mayor Wu has deemed that May 30th is the appropriate deadline for getting the next iteration of a map that can withstand federal scrutiny.
And is that why she hopped in this week and said, hey, I'm going to give you my own map? Does it maybe indicate, we got to move fast, and also the council may not, in fact, be up to the job of getting this done on time?
I would never say that, Adam. We will let voters decide whether the council is up to the job or not. But yes, she has already sent down legislation asking the council to move the dates for potential candidates to do all of that work that we just mentioned. Collect the signatures, do the applications to get on the ballot. Because as far as we know, we still have a preliminary on September 12th and a general on November 7th. One thing that I think might be interesting is as the election season gets in full swing, if anybody's going to act as a foil to Mayor Michelle Wu, this is one of the issues that could be spun into that narrative that she's sort of an imperious city executive.
That's interesting. Juicy, tantalizing. So before we wrap up, we got a couple minutes left. A big question for you. There are, as we mentioned in the intro, a couple blocks on the city council. There's a progressive block, which is mostly but not entirely people of color. There's the conservative block that pushed to challenge this new map. They are Irish American, lean more to the right, relatively speaking. When they go back and forth on other issues, not just redistricting, to what extent is race and ways of thinking about race in public life, to what extent is that either at the forefront or against the backdrop of the debates they have?
I would say it's a thing that we should always be interrogating if we're watching Boston city politics very closely. Certainly it doesn't drive everything, but we cannot ignore the fact that we've been a majority-minority city for a long time in Boston, and this council represents really the first time that reflects the city. We also, however you feel about Mayor Michelle Wu or what she has or hasn't done, we are also in a historic administration because she is the first non-white male city executive. All of these things are happening against a national backdrop where various parts of the world are thinking about diversity and equity and inclusion and systems and fairness and biases. So again, race doesn't drive everything, but if you consider yourself a person that's watching Boston very closely and you're not interrogating that, I think you're missing a big part of the action.
Saraya Wintersmith, that was an absolutely fantastic answer. I got to go back and watch that to shape my coverage moving forward. Thank you for taking the time to come in.
Very happy to do it.